So now, what happened to the whole concept of the auction? I mean, Google did the auction, seemed to be right pricing, right? It didn't do an amazing pop the first day. It went up a little bit. Had LinkedIn done an auction, would this have worked out better for them?
Well, the auction model we all thought was going to be the next big thing after Google, and it clearly wasn't. There have been only maybe 2 or 3 other companies that have done that Dutch auction model for setting the price. And just for your listeners, that's when the book building process, where the banks take the orders from people interested in buying the stock. You have this transparency where you build from the bottom up and see what's the highest price at which you can clear all the shares. In other words, what's the highest dollar value in which all your shares can be sold. And the theory is, well, that's the right price to set at your IPO.
Right. But there is some gamesmanship going on there, correct?
Well, back to what Henry's point was that you also want your stock to trade up a little bit after the IPO. You don't want it to dip. So, if you trade it right at the clearing price, then you have a bunch of people who DK the stock and end up not showing up to buy it at closing. Yep. Well, then obviously you're going to have some downward pressure in the market on your stock. So theoretically, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think there's a lot of different opinions on why the Google IPO was not as successful as what, in retrospect, it should have been, given where the stock is now.
I think actually, I think on Google was priced perfectly. There was a small first day discount, wasn't huge, traded up, and then it was Google that delivered quarter after quarter of just astonishing performance, and that took the stock up slowly. I think on the auction question, it's a very good question because everybody always brings this up. Why don't we just do IPO auctions? The answer is that for a company that is as visible and exciting and hot as Google, you can do them. And Hambrecht did a few of these in the 1990s. They work, so forth. Other countries have tried them. They work with the very visible ones. The problem is that for 90% of the offerings where the companies aren't so hot, you don't really know about them, that's where you need an institute.
Oops. Looks like we lost Henry there for a second.
Here's what this company does. It's really exciting. You really ought to take a look at it. And the implicit arrangement in that is, and by the way, if you do stick your neck out and take some shares, you're going to get a little gain on the first day. So it makes a big difference, and that's why the auction model doesn't work.